So Erika Kirk just gave her special message on the Charlie Kirk show, and might I say, it was very interesting. She showed up in the all black, the I mean business attire, black hat, black blouse, buttons up all the way to the neck. We're going to go through that video today, and we're going to talk about it. Let's get into it.
Nikki in the building, baby. Nikki in the building, baby. In Cahoots podcast. Yeah. I keep God first, that's real. True crime on the table, facts on steel. If that's sagacious, I chase that trail. If the story don't add up, I set it straight, no fail. I spot fake tears, I spot lies. Sketchy little moves, I see through the disguise. I'm fair, I'm funny, I bring that light. I call you out, then I'll still be polite.
Nikki in the building, baby. I hope you guys like that new intro. Let me know down in the comments. Before we get into this video, please make sure to hit the like button, subscribe button, comment, share, all that good stuff. Most importantly, don't forget to hype the video. That helps the channel out tremendously. All right, so like I said, Erika Regine Pinocchio Kirk came out. She made her statement, and she mentioned a few things that are quite interesting. So we're just going to jump into the video, and we're going to see what she said. Check this out.
It seems to me that nothing will ever be enough for the evil in this world. Our country has become unrecognizable. These people have perverted the truth to the point that they motivated the murder of my husband. They have continuously tried to assassinate the president, and anyone who stands in their way is labeled hateful, racist, fascist, and every other trigger word that is grossly dishonest. We want the best for our country. They don't. This is why Charlie started Turning Point USA in the first place. He didn't trust the radicalized liberal teachers. And this past Saturday, it was a school teacher, of all people, a school teacher that attempted to change our history for the worst with bullets. And everyone is asking why I even went to the White House Correspondents Dinner. And it was because many of the journalists in that room have attempted to dehumanize me, and I wanted to meet some of them face to face, quite frankly. Why have a conversation about me when you can have a conversation with me? So, for example, a journalist from the Daily Mail came up to me. She introduced herself, and she was very gracious. She was saying, "You look so beautiful. I'm so sorry for your loss." To which I replied, "It is so nice to put a name to the face, especially with all of the slander, the lies, accusations that are out there surrounding my husband's murder and myself." And I said to her, "You know what's so interesting? This is my first time at the White House Correspondents Dinner, and I find it so fascinating, the dynamic that is going on right now, because everyone is all dressed up, and you guys are co-mingling in and out of each other's cocktail parties. And so for one night, you are able to put aside all of your differences for the sake of freedom of speech. And then by Monday morning, things will go back to being an absolute bloodbath between all of you." To which she replied, literally, she said, "I know. Isn't it special, right? Isn't tonight so special?" And following that conversation, it was time to take our seats, and we went into the big ballroom where the dinner was. And one of the first things I noticed when I walked into that room was quite literally the proximity of the opposing outlets to one another. So you have one table here that's Politico, and another table here that's Fox, and another table here that's WAPO, and you're all crammed together, elbow to elbow. And to make the night even more of a spectacle, every single 10-person table had 10 bottles of wine. And the president of the White House Correspondents Association, she did a great job of trying to make the evening have that feeling of Americana. You know, we were in a room celebrating freedom of speech despite our differences. And the U.S. Marine Band performed the national anthem so beautifully. And then shortly thereafter, gunshots rang out and total chaos ensued. And you guys have all seen what happened next, because there are 1,000 videos of it. So let's discuss that fact for a second. If you were in that room, You had no way of knowing what the status of the shooter was, how many there were, or honestly, really anything. It was just utter chaos. And so during an active shooting, these journalists are using their phones to find moments to capture for clips. They were so concerned about getting a video in a room with an active shooter that they could have accidentally and quite literally filmed themselves being shot. Many of those people have become so desensitized that fight or flight became secondary to the opportunity of putting themselves into the story, which ironically breaks the #1 rule of journalism. And again, ironically enough, the shooter was a teacher. You have these people who are supposed to be teaching our children the future of this country, and he's so unhinged that he is able to teach children by day and then attempt to murder the President of the United States by night. And in his manifesto, he starts by contextualizing himself by saying, "I am a citizen of the United States of America." And while we may have big problems with illegal immigration in this country, I have to tell you, we have an even bigger problem when it comes to the systemic indoctrination and radicalization of our own citizens. This is what got my husband killed. This is what has led to 3 legitimate attempts on President Trump's life. And I can speak firsthand to that unbearable toll that this must take on our First Lady. There has never been a president who has faced this many assassination attempts in Americans' entire history. And after each one, the reaction from the far left has been, at best, a shrug, and in some cases, a sick disappointment that the shooter was unsuccessful. We are all human beings. And if you can just pause and just take a minute and ask yourself, how would you feel if even just one person made cruel jokes about the attempted murder of your loved one? That is what Jimmy Kimmel did to the First Lady. He said that she had the glow of an expected widow. The glow of an expected widow. Just 48 hours before that nightmare almost became a reality. And this culture we're living in absorbs disagreement as a form of personal betrayal. It turns having an opposing viewpoint into a moral crime worthy of punishment. And here's what I've realized through all of this, truly, having lived through quite literal hell these past 7 months, if you strip someone of their humanity long enough, you will arrive at the chilling conclusion that they don't deserve to exist at all. Every morning I wake up to a new headline lying about me. I have comedians dressing up in whiteface. I have people saying I'm not fit to be CEO, and I have Candace Owens claiming I murdered my husband. And the list goes on and on and on. There is a serious epidemic of dehumanization plaguing this country. The most unthinkable tragedies have now become commonplace in our daily headlines, and yet the media finds a way to conveniently explain away violence. This is what we're up against. This is what we're up against. What is happening right now is something none of us can afford to ignore. The evil forces working to divide us, to distract us, and to pull us apart has never been stronger. This is a moment for Americans to come together and decide what kind of country we are going to be before we lose our country altogether. In Romans chapter 12, verse 21, it says, "Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good." And this is why my husband created Turning Point USA, so we could have civil discourse and debate and open dialogue, because when we stop talking to each other, bad things happen. I am choosing to fight for America, for my children, for your children, and for our humanity, because we all need to do our part. And by the grace of God, we will succeed, and America will remain what she was always called to be, a shining city on a hill, a light to the world. So let me give you a perfect example of how it's done. My husband did it best and left us the blueprint on how to have uncomfortable conversations with those who disagree. Buckle up, everybody. Here we go.
That last part she could have kept. She should have led with that. The very first time that she showed up on Charlie Kirk's show to talk about ticket sales and hats and merch, that's probably the time that she should have did the whole buckle up, here we go. It would have been more sentimental. It would have hit a little deeper, I think. You wait 7 months later and you do that. But you never know what side of Erika you're going to get. I think that is clear. I keep saying it in my videos. You just don't know what you're going to get. One moment, you get the grieving widow, the tears. The next moment, you get the timid Erika. The next moment, you get boss babe. The next moment, you get president of hat sales. Today, we have all black hat pulled down, meaning business. And it's interesting because, on the 27th, after everything had happened at the White House Correspondent Dinner, she put on X basically, saying a whole bunch of stuff. Enough is enough. Well, one of the things that she said is that she's going to take time to spend with her family, and it's just interesting because it's like, why so late? Why so late? Erika didn't have to be at that dinner. And what I find interesting is the reason why Erika was at that dinner. It's not that we have to guess. It's not that we have to put a puzzle together. She just told us. Erika says she was at that dinner because
any of the journalists in that room have attempted to dehumanize me, and I wanted to meet some of them face to face, quite frankly. Why have a conversation about me when you can have a conversation with me?
Bingo. But this is also the same woman, right, that canceled an event with the vice president due to safety concerns, right? Threats regarding her travel and whatnot. And family comes first. It's understandable. We make jokes on this channel. We have fun. But at the end of the day, there is also a time to be serious and really look at what people are truly saying. You went to this dinner for a little light conflict, if you ask me. The way that Erika just stared into the camera, head cocked to the side a little bit, that's a very defensive stance. If you're going to sit there and look at the camera and say, I went to that dinner because there's journalists that have a lot to say about me, so why not say it to me? Thank God that nothing happened. Thank God no one's life was taken. But in the event, in the horrible event, God forbid, that something did happen, and say she was hit with something, would that conversation with journalists that put negative things about you in the tabloids, would that have been worth it? Now, she made a pretty big statement, if you ask me, regarding Candace Owens. She says, Candace Owens claims that I murdered my husband. Candace Owens is a big girl, okay? And we all know she can handle herself, and I'm sure she will. I wouldn't be surprised if we get another open letter to Erika. I mean, I kind of hope we do. Unless I missed this episode, and if I have, please somebody tag me in it. But I have not heard Candace Owens claim that she murdered her husband. But let's go ahead and get into that clip where she talks about how people are saying that she shouldn't be the CEO of Turning Point.
I have comedians dressing up in whiteface. I have people saying I'm not fit to be CEO. And I have Candace Owens claiming I murdered my husband. And the list goes on and on and on.
Erika's upset because people are saying that she's not fit to be CEO. I'm sorry, but you're not. You know, Andrew, when he does those interviews where he's like, she got this call and it was from a very important person, and they said, well, what do you know? And she said everything. Like, he always makes it super dramatic. But in the Alex Clark interview, he actually explained what the caller meant by his question. He said that, you know, he just wanted to know, what did he know about the company, about Charlie's dealings and everything Charlie did. And she said everything. Everybody always says that Charlie said that she was fit for this position. If anything ever happened, that she would take it over. But what does this say about Charlie Kirk then? I'll ask the question. Are you calling Charlie Kirk a liar? Are you guys saying that, you know, he was fake? He would say one thing to the public, but behind closed doors, he was a completely different man? Because as we all know, this is the same man that said home needs you. And according to Erika, that's one of the last things that Charlie said prior to the UVU event. Home needs you. So are you saying the man is lying? I don't remember Charlie saying that, oh, yes, a woman should get into these big CEO positions and they shouldn't really be home at that much with their kids and they should just be bossy babes. I don't remember that. I was not an avid follower of Charlie Kirk, and I'm not going to pretend like I have been or I was or whatever the case may be. But I have done a lot of research since this has come up. I've never once heard Charlie Kirk say, I am building Erika right now so that she can take over this company. I've never once heard him say that. I've never heard him say, I am training Erika. I am giving Erika all the tools that she needs to take over this company someday. Have you? Erika says she's going to make it Turning Point 2.0. Okay, so she's going to change everything. All right, whatever. It's your company now, right? But why do you think a lot of people are not going to these events anymore? Why do you think that the energy has changed towards whoever is speaking, really? We expect Erika to mourn her husband, to grieve, to cry, to allow herself to feel what is going on so that she can overcome it. Yes, we also expect Erika to listen to what we know of as one of Charlie's last wishes, and for her to be home because home needed her. So we expect her to be at home with her kids, consoling them, helping them to get used to the fact that it's just going to be the three of you now. How many times have people from Turning Point, especially when this whole book tour started, like they're saying, oh, well, Charlie's first priority was Erika and his family. Certain time Charlie says, oh, gotta go home to Erika, gotta go home. So if you ask me, he didn't even prioritize his business or his organization over his family, over his kids. He didn't even do that. He made a living, but he knew home needed him. And the whole thing about, you know, Drewski doing the white face. Listen, okay, how about this? Let's all just be fair, okay? Nobody should be doing blackface. Nobody should be doing white face. Nobody should be doing grieving widow face. Everybody just needs to be themselves, be real, and leave everybody alone. How about that? And then, did you notice how upset it visibly makes Erika that people are persecuting her, lying about her? She wakes up every day, there's another new lie about her, and you know, she's so upset about what's being said to her that she wants to go to a dinner just so she can confront journalists, right? But I thought you said
being persecuted and lied about, count it all joy. You're being slandered, count it all joy.
that, my friends, that was short-lived, because shortly after that, she's pulling up. That's what that means. You guys have been speaking badly about me. You're lying about me. A new lie in the headlines every day. Every morning I wake up, I'm pulling up. Say it to my face. I also remember Charlie saying,
Erika, do you ever get hate from Charlie's work? How do you handle it? Charlie, do you ever feel guilt, or do you ever deal with guilt when Erika gets hate? No, I don't.
I honestly, this is how I know God made us for each other, because anytime I do get quote unquote hate, it's the same stuff you get. Like I don't even want to say, it's not even worth saying it or repeating the things that were called or the names that were called. But yes, I do. I've lost family members, I've lost friends, but I actually am kind of grateful that that's happened, because God has pruned my life in a way where I am surrounded in a circle now by people who love us, support us, pray with us, encourage us.
Small, mighty circle.
And that's what I would much rather have, a small, mighty circle than a massive one. It's the people that, that you can trust and pour into. And yes, do I get hate? Bring it on.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll have a velvet steel spine by the end of my life. So bring it on.
Yeah, I mean, look, we get a lot of hate, we get a lot of death threats, but just part of life.
It
makes you stronger.
Right.
And honestly, if you are out there and you aren't getting a lot of hate, then
what are you doing?
Well, yeah, you're not doing anything that bothers Satan.
Exactly.
You're just being boring. You're probably honestly doing the bidding of the enemy.
Right. So. No, it's true.
Oh, but now you're mad? Now you're pulling up? Now you got your all black on, ball cap, ready for war? Interesting. So there you have it, everybody. This was Erika Pinocchio Kirk's way of sticking it to everyone who's ever had a negative thing to say about her, a simple question, maybe even a confused look on their face when it comes to her. This was also her way of backing Andrew Fairy Tale Flight Covey up when he says,
"Up yours. This is screw you."
Ooh, that's angry, Andrew Fairy Tale Flight Covey. Who crapped on his itinerary? All right, guys, please hit the like, subscribe, share, comment button. Please hype the video. That helps me out a lot. Don't forget to click the join button to become a member. You guys, let's not let this get to us. I'm pretty sure we're going to see a lot of content in the coming days regarding this message. And there's going to be a lot of frustration on the internet. Obviously, a lot of back and forths and up and downs. But if you find yourself consumed in that frustration and you just need a little pick me up, I just want you to remember that.
I admit I fell in love with Kim around the same time she fell in love with him.